Actually, I'm a social worker and I work with the developmentally disabled. But I have a few things that I do that are just for me. One of the things that I do is I have a video blog called Pink Flags. And in my video blog, I explain to people that by the time you see a red flag in a new relationship, it might already be a serious problem. But by picking out the pink flags in the beginning, the little microaggressions, um, you may be able to speak to character, especially especially if you've been in an abusive relationship. Sometimes we empathetic women tend to give new partners the benefit of the doubt. And really anyone who has an empathetic nature wants to believe the best in people. And it's funny, what is a pink flag? It's not like everybody knows that someone that would raise their hand to you, that's a red flag. Someone that would verbally abuse you or, abuse drugs or alcohol or be um, mismanage your money, things like that. Those are glaring red flags. But it's the little pink flags. It's acts of spiritual generosity that make a person a better partner. And you have to look for that. I knew someone who would never give someone a second date if they took the last piece of bread out of the basket on the first date. And I was like, maybe that's a little but the concept is there. It's little things like understanding that generosity has to go both ways, and it's more than having a man that will like buy you an expensive gift. It's someone that will keep your favorite tea at their place. Things like that, kindnesses. Someone that will cover for you, someone who will pick you up from work when you're not feeling well, and then take you back the next morning to get your car. Like, it's those type of things. If you want to be someone's girlfriend, then you're looking for a friend, because you can't start any long-term relationship without having a person that you consider to be the same caliber of person as your best female friend. And these are the things that it's important that women don't take for granted. If you have one of your girlfriends that every single time you make a plan, she switches it the last minute and it can only be the plan that she would enjoy, you would stop hanging out with her, like, quickly. You'd be like, you know what, I can't deal with this chick. She's a control freak. I can't. But yet, most of us will accept that from a man. Like, oh, he just likes what he likes. Well, you like what you like. Everybody likes what they like. And so here you go. That's like a basic cornerstone of a relationship, is finding someone who wants to share with you on your level. And whether or not we acknowledge it, we all date on our level. So if you are looking to date someone who is emotionally healthy and spiritually available for you, then you have to go and find the spiritual availability for yourself. Like, who makes you whole? Only you.
Yeah, and that is so
you are
important.
the one and only.
And that was one of the things we've talked about that before, is that I find that so often women, what I hear with my clients is that people say, well, he treats me nice and we have great sex. Okay, well, great. What do you do the other 23 and a half hours? I'll give you a little extra time. So what do you do with the rest of your life? You know, because like, okay, great. That's great. You got your orgasm. You had a great time with him. Okay, now you have to actually have a relationship. So being able to make love to your best friend is going to be a completely different experience. And I love the example that you gave about, you know, a girlfriend. I think that's a really great thing to keep in mind, is to say, hey, would I allow this from my girlfriend, a female friend? You know, would this be okay? Would I allow this from someone else that I have a different type of relationship with? And a lot of times the answer is no. But we accept it from a guy, and we try to, and again, sorry guys that are watching, because this is, you know, two ladies talking, heterosexual women talking, so I apologize, I'm not trying to leave anybody out. But those are the things that we're talking about, is that being able to find a partner that you get along well with, you have a great friendship with, and yes, of course, the sex is important, but it's not the number one. Treating you like a normal human being is like the basic level of a relationship. After that comes all the values, all those great things that you're talking about, Barbara. And I think that for me, and sorry that I'm like going on a rant here, but I remember for me, that was something that to me, I felt like it was too much to ask. Like, oh, he's going to come pick me up and he should do things that I'd like to do too. And there were definitely pieces of me that thought that that was too much to ask. And I can tell you that that is not. You know, we've talked about boundaries before, having certain expectations. A lot of people are a little bit more picky about the pizza that they order and not for the relationship that they're in. So we've got to be a little bit pickier with who we allow into our lives and who to spend our lives with. So I want to go definitely ask more questions about that, but I'd like to back up for a second and here's your story of how you even got to this place. How was it that you decided to start this video blog and to start sharing this information with other people? Because I think you have a great story to share, you know, with others and let them know how you got to this spot.
I am a survivor of sexual assault as a young woman. And then I had 2 abusive marriages. And at 42, I walked away with pretty much nothing, pretty much really nothing. And I decided that there was one thing that no man could ever take away from me, and that was an education. And in 8 years, I went from no college credits to a master's degree.
Wow.
From 42 to 53. Yeah, slightly less than 53. And I just decided that there was nothing that was going to prevent me from becoming a fighter, becoming a champion for those people that are not able to shake it off and move forward. And it's not everyone is. And one of the biggest things is, if you need to recover, it's important to find coaches and therapists and psychologists and even your team, even your squad, people that get it. Recovery is not a one-size-fits-all thing. The person that could help, you know, the person that could help your cousin after she lost her job at a Fortune 500 company is probably or possibly not the same therapist that can help you cope with working through love, because there's layers of trauma associated with that. The trauma associated is you loved someone and they could not respect your body agency. They did not understand that their hands are only to love you and their mouth is only to communicate with you on the level of 2 partners communicating. Again, it goes back to friendship. If one of your girlfriends slapped you, she's not your friend. She's just not. So if the person that you're with raises their hand to you, they don't love you. They may share your mortgage, They may have fathered your children. They may own your furniture, but they don't love you. And if they tell you they do, it's narcissistic. And they love them, not you. They love how you make them look. And the fact that you are willing to get up the next morning after you've been abused and cook bacon and eggs gives them power. It feeds the narcissism. And I know that that's diminishing what it actually is, that you just get up the next morning and make bacon and eggs. But the fact that you didn't run for the hills, that you didn't call the authorities, that you didn't make a big deal to stand up for yourself primarily, gives them this sick psychological power. And that's why they do it. They don't do it because it gives them any sense of discipline or aggrandizement. They do it because they need to believe that the person that does these things for them is theirs to control. And usually by the time it gets to be a physical act of violence, they have abused you in every other humanly possible way. They've abused you spiritually. They've abused you intellectually. They've abused you verbally. They have abused you financially. Raising their hand to you or becoming physically aggressive it's the last act of control. And there just isn't anything, there's nothing left. And they want absolute domination. And unfortunately, walking away from that after that person probably has control of your finances is a lot harder than people realize. People say like, oh, well, you should just go. Where am I going? That's my house. My kids go to school around the corner. Where am I going? It's my house. It's my dog. It's my shit.
Yeah.
Where am I going? Mm-hmm. And you've already probably convinced your family that he's a good guy underneath it all. But he's not, and he never was. Mm-hmm. And they saw it long before you. So
now, what was the decision? What was your straw, your final straw? And you said you married 2 people that were narcissistic and abusive. So what was your final straw in maybe the final one where you said, I'm not doing this anymore? And you said, your education was something you knew that they couldn't take away from you. But was there like a pivotal moment where something major happened and you were like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore?
It was funny. I was in a relationship after my marriage. And the guy's mother was verbally abusive. And the guy didn't do anything about it. And I was like, why are you letting your mother do that? And he's like, why are you so sensitive? And I was like, you know what? This is just a new fabric on the same old mess. I'm just putting a new ribbon on this pig. And I went for therapy to a trauma therapist for up to 3 times a week in the beginning. I really was like, we're going to untangle the knots in this brain. And most of it stemmed from not accepting the fact that the physical trauma of being sexually assaulted when I was that young, like 14 years old, like that I never owned up to it. Once in my Rain video, because I was a 2016 Rain speaker, and I was on the commercials and everything like that. It was an amazing experience. And the last thing that I say is, when you let go of shame, you're free. Yeah. I let go of shame. I carried that around like I sexually assaulted myself. That's how much I carried it around. I carried it around like it was a dirty secret. It wasn't my dirty secret.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who did it probably doesn't think too much about it at all. And I carried it around like a Gucci bag for 35 years. So then I just went, and she did it um like almost Freudian style, where I free associated the trauma for hours and hours and hours. And then I also worked with coaches, and I realized, you know what? I need to do this myself. And I need to share what I learned and become a champion, because I didn't come this far without having like an unbelievable amount of inner strength. So now I share it. It's like, you get some inner strength. You get some inner strength. Come here, I got inner strength. Let's look in the closet. I'll give you some inner strength.
The
And
Oprah.
yeah,
Give it out. Oh, I understand.
yeah. I just like, and you know what? Everyone needs someone who will love them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone where there's the possibility of physical love. And I just give out like a lot of love, because the most important thing that I found from going through therapy for all that time was that when you give it away, you just find more, you find more, you find more, you find more. And yeah, there's so, like, I have so much. And it makes me really happy that I'm able to do that, that I'm able to draw from a place of strength. And, you know, it also helped me to figure out all the other things that I wanted to be, that I didn't allow myself to be. And one of the biggest things the biggest abuses in my marriage was I was an executive secretary, and I worked for really big companies, and I made excellent money. But I hated it. Like, I hated it every day. Hated it, hated it, hated it. And I needed to put the money in direct deposit, because my ex had me convinced that if my check didn't go in direct deposit, that my children would like starve to death and die on the street. And after I got divorced, after I got an education, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. But then I realized, wait, I'm wasting that knowledge. So I came up with the opportunity to do consulting. So I take that knowledge and I combine it with the social work and help people that have nonprofits, that have coaching business, understand how the big boys work, understand what it takes. Like, what were these people paying me this big money to do? And basically make them look good. And now I have a company, Barbara McLean Consulting, and that's what I do. I make others look really good. And some of my mentors and business partners and stuff like that are like, you give away more business than you make. I'm like, yeah. But in the beginning, you kind of have to. You kind of make a name for yourself. And I make sure that my clients have this cohesive message where they know every day that what comes out of their organization always sounds the same, always looks the same. It's consistent and professional. It just makes me feel like nothing is ever wasted. All those days I went to work doing something where I absolutely hated it, but I learned something, and I learned something that I can share. And it turned out to be this really like awesome thing. I find funding for people, and I started doing that too. That was like part of my motherhood thing. And I went, to my kids' school, and I found them Title I grants and Title IX grants and things like that from the federal government that help the schools pay for the extras. So now I help people find the funding to pay for the extras, to grow their programs and things of that nature. And it's that's something that I really love, because I I meet people like you and people like myself that are so devoted to their mission. And we started, like, we just clicked, you and
Yeah,
I.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I love. And that's what, one of the things that I share even with clients is that it's when you get to the other side, you look back and you're like, oh, when you've really done the healing, you've really done the work, you can let go of that anger and the shame and the guilt and the frustration and all of that stuff. And you can look at the lessons that were there for you that helped you grow into the person that you are. I mean, without all of those, and horrific experiences, to have dealt with childhood sexual assault at 14 and to abusive marriages. And I understand that's not to the extent of sexual assaults. But I had my first major relationship was with a guy. I felt really guilty when we broke up. And then I carried that into the next relationship and allowed the next guy to treat me badly because I still was holding guilt from the thing before. And so that stuff follows you. But once you really do the work and you start to understand yourself, all of those experiences become your story, and they help shape you into the person that you are. And you have that to support you. To take all those as an opportunity to learn and grow, then you can kind of get back on those things. I mean, the fact that you now you share so openly your struggle, and you talk about the sexual assault and the abusive ex-husbands, and I just have to commend you too. The fact that you started school at 42, you go back to school for social work. I've heard over and over again, and there might be a few of you watching right now, that I've heard people say, I'm too old to start all over again. And I'm always like, no, you're not too old. You're not too old. So you got your master's degree. You said you're 53 years old. Hello, anyone who says you're too old. You're breathing, like you're alive. Just stop making that as a reason to stay a victim, and start. If that's something that you want to do, then you should do it. And I think that that's a great testimonial of the human strength. When other people are giving up, you pushed through it, and now you're helping all of these people share your story and getting funding for places like schools and things like that is key to keep a lot of those programs going. So all of these great things that you're doing because of what you've experienced, and you know what it's like to be down on the bottom, down, in your worst moments. So I love that you're giving that back and sharing that information with people. That's awesome. So was there anything else that you want? I know that we talked about so much already. I mean, we talked about some of those pink flags and things to look out for, and talking about seeing a therapist. I definitely recommend therapist, a coach. Get your team in order, your support team in order, and figure that out. What are some of the things that you use for self-care, since you've rediscovered who you are and you're out helping all these other people? I'm sure you need to take some time for yourself. So what are some things that you do for your own self-care?
Oh wow. I work out a lot. I work out every day. And my other self-care is on Sunday. My partner and I pretty much shut it down. Like every Sunday, week in, week out, unless there's something super urgent, we shut it down. We take our time. We make a big meal. We lay around, we fool around, we watch sports. And basically, it's the only day we can devote to each other, like a whole 24-hour day. And we do it pretty consistently, for I guess the last 5 years. And we shut it down. I've introduced him to several cuisines that he had no interest in learning about. He's introduced me to NASCAR, which I surprisingly love. Which, yeah, if you knew me, you'd be like, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Girl, normally you don't think NASCAR and New York City girl. Those normally don't work together.
I'm very competitive. And the fact that it's such a, I also respect anyone with like innate bravery because I figure that that is my superpower. I'm brave to the point of stupidity, but I'm very brave. And they are brave.
Mm-hmm.
It appeals to me. If you are going 200 miles an hour in a Toyota Camry, and you hit a brick wall and your car goes in fire and you can talk to the press 5 minutes later, you got balls.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, you really do. And I like that. There's other things, I take excellent care of myself. I eat healthy foods every day. I try and eat organic when possible, but when it's not ridiculous. Um, Basically, I try and give myself the kind of care I feel that I deserved all along. Uh, Self-care is a very, very personal thing. I would like to do more yoga, but it's just not something that presents itself. I'm more of a, I have a more aggressive nature, so I do things like weights and kickboxing because it just takes me to the place where I need to be. It grows my personal soul. And I like that a lot. Um, I took a class randomly, and neither one of us knows how that happened. And I took a class 2 years ago, 3 years ago, on how to get your 501c3. And the woman that taught the class, she and I just sort of clicked. I was her first client. She was my first nonprofit mentor. She's the best nonprofit mentor. I couldn't recommend her highly enough. We collaborate now on like a dozen projects, like a never-ending stream of projects. And I think that having people like her in my life, having really good friends, old and new, that will always listen, always be supportive and non-judgmental. That's my that's like my favorite part of self-care. Knowing that I'm never alone. And it's funny because I never thought that I would live alone for as long as I have. My children are grown and they're gone. And I have lived by myself now for 5 years. And I never thought that I would like it. I sort of felt like I had no choice. It was either that or live with my dad next. And so having a good squad, having a good tribe that I can call and that I can spend time with and understand how to nourish and be nourished by them. Because that's the ultimate in self-care. And it's knowing how to nourish all the different parts of you. Because you don't come with instructions. And every single person is different. And you can know yourself. Like I feel like I know myself really, really well. But every once in a while you just hit the wall and you can't make any forward movement until you get it back together again. And that's self-care. Like understanding that you know what? I have all this vacation time. I have no travel plans on the horizon. So I'm just going to take a few days and watch movies. I'm just going to take a few days, go see my sister. These are all the kind of things that we need to do. And it doesn't necessarily involve being partnered up. Because a lot of us also think like, oh, but I have a boyfriend. I can't take my vacation time unless he's taking his vacation time. What? And just do it. You know, when it's all said and done, you're all you have. I mean, kids, of course, when you have children, it changes the dynamic of who you are and how you're seen in the world. But you are the commodity. You are the person. And especially that's like the first lesson they teach you when you go to social work school. You're the commodity. And it's such a valuable lesson that so many social workers try and explain to our clients that you're the most important thing. And no matter what you're going through, no one has the right to judge you. No one has the right to tell you that what you're doing is right or wrong. I mean, there's laws and things of that nature, but how you care for yourself and how you conduct your life, that's that's on you. That's like a very personal thing.
And treating yourself as such. I mean, this is your body, this is your life. And, this is one of the things, like, when all is said and done, you're the one who dies with you. So if any of those things that you wanted to do, any of those people you tried to impress, any of those experiences that you didn't have, those all died with you. And no one will know that that's what you wanted to do with yourself. So it is so important. You're not doing any of us a favor if you are not living, your best. And you can't live your best if you're not taking care of yourself. And I love that you had the mentors and you had all the great people in your life, and between making a nonprofit and then doing the social work and all these great things that you have going on. I mean, it's just such a testament to the human spirit and what we can accomplish once we overcome those obstacles that have held us back. So that's really, really awesome. And I just wanted to jump in because someone had said before, Scotty had said earlier, I stood up for mine too when I knew better. So sometimes I think that we don't know better. We don't know that things can be better. And sometimes there's that glimmering of hope, or, I always talk about that gut feeling, but there's that hope that maybe it can be better. And sometimes there's that fear of, oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone. There's that fearful thing of like, what am I going to do all by myself? I don't know. I'm a pretty cool person to hang out with, so I have a great time by myself. In fact, it's kind of nice to just do things by yourself sometimes. So just really getting to be into that place where you are comfortable being with just you, just being. And just being comfortable with you. I mean, that's such a huge ability, is to be comfortable in the aloneness. Hi, Andrew. Be comfortable with that. So, that's a huge part of the recovery as well. Was there anything else you wanted to add? I felt like there was something else, but I think I lost it as I was going on about figuring yourself out and self-discovery. But I mean, it really is. It's so important to really know who you are, be comfortable who you are, not try to attract a partner that is just anyone, so you're not alone, not putting up with just anything, really making sure that you're having set boundaries and a healthy relationship and things in common, and you have all that great stuff together, like, yes, the great sex, but yes, the great conversations, and yes, the great things in common, and, and now you have a partner. I mean, I love the fact that on Sundays it's just about you two, and you basically have like a day of lovemaking. It's not just physical, but, the lovemaking is about being with each other, and making love is so much more than just a physical thing. I mean, it's two souls sharing a space together that's just, amazing. And to be able to cook and hang out and watch, relax on the couch and do all those things, that's all making love. That's all part of that wonderful experience. So I think that's great. And Andrew says being comfortable in your own skin is huge. Definitely. So important. But yeah, I love that you do that with your partner. I think that's awesome.
No, thank you. I'm just like, And what you said, one of my favorite sayings is, you don't know what you don't know. There's so much, and that's like really prevalent in relationships too. Like, your partner doesn't know how, unless you tell them the good and the bad, they don't know. And it goes the same with you. It's like vulnerability is one of those things that doesn't even get nearly enough credit. It's like you hang up the phone with your partner and it's like, I love you, bye-bye, and you hang up the phone. But, okay, they know you love them. You sleep next to them every night. You make food for them. You plan a weekend away for their birthday. Okay, they know that they love you. But do you trust them enough to tell them, I need something different? I'm not needing, like, what you're giving me is not meeting my needs. And that's a lot more loving than you think. And doing it with a calm voice and a non-whiny attitude. And a lot of us are not always capable of doing it with a calm voice and a non-whiny attitude. But, like, look, I need more than you're giving me. I need more of this, I need less of that. Like, that is a service that you also do for your partner. And not being comfortable with someone enough to tell them that they aren't satisfying you in every area, or it would be more satisfying or less satisfying if they did this, that, or the other thing. And it's like, no, I never want to eat at a Mexican restaurant ever again the rest of my life. It's like, wow, where did that come from? We go home, I can't sleep. I got agita for 3 days. I don't ever want to eat there again. Oh, I thought it was your favorite. No, it's my favorite 3 years ago. I'm so done with it. They didn't know. You pull it out of the blue. And I know it seems like it's just a little thing. But actually, you'll be happier when you go to the Thai place the next time. You eat, you go home, you sleep like a baby. You're happy, they're happy. They can go eat Mexican food with their friends, or vice versa. And it's like honesty and vulnerability. And I know that that might not be the most intimate of examples, but being able to tell your partner pretty much anything, like the good, the bad, the ugly. And anyone that's been in a long-term relationship, it's like, you know you love somebody when you no longer close the bathroom door all the way. You keep talking. You're in the bathroom, and you just keep talking because there are no real walls between you and your partner anymore.
Yep.
And those things are pink flags. Like, you're dating a guy for a few months, you're clearly engaging in sexual activities, and they don't take all their clothes off in front of you. They don't have any major scars. They're not trying to hide, like, the tattoo with their ex-girlfriend's name on it. It's not that. They just don't feel comfortable enough to be fully intimate with you. Maybe they don't have intimacy to give.
Yeah.
It's more than clothing. The clothing is a euphemism for the intimacy that you will never receive from this person. And those are like another example of pink flags. And also with sex, never underestimate having different sexual needs. Because if you like to have sex every day, and you meet a guy that's okay with 3 times a month, you will be miserable. And definitely vice versa. There is nothing sadder than having one partner chase the other in hopes of engaging in sexual congress. It's sucky. it's demeaning, and it doesn't have to be, because that's not, physical intimacy is not as intimate as you might think. It's a physical need.
Mm-hmm.
And finding someone else who has equal amounts of physical need is a really big deal. I know people are like, oh, well, sex doesn't last, it gets boring. For some people, it doesn't. For some people, it is every single thing that you need.
Yeah.
And, or it really doesn't matter at all. And having it once or twice a month is hunky-dory. So those are the kind of things, those are the pink flags.
Mm-hmm.
When someone just is not at your level, or someone can't open up to you. Somebody says, oh, but he gives me butterflies. Why does he give you butterflies? Are you frightened? Like, why do you feel uncomfortable? Because butterflies are not a comfortable feeling.
Right.
And these are the sum total of what pink flags are. They're just a list of stuff that just doesn't match. Things that don't, things that don't necessarily line up between one partner and the other. I'm trying to think of a better example.
And that's one of the things I really want everyone who's watching to know, that that's okay. It's okay if those things don't line up, but you don't want to force that relationship. I heard someone say once before, like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. Like, this might actually be a really great person. They might actually be a great person. It's not that they're abusive or they're hurtful. They might actually have none of those things. However, like Barbara said, if you like to have sex every day and your partner doesn't, and there's no willing to talk about it, and maybe, find a medium that's comfortable for both of you, or, you like to stay up late, the other person likes to get up early, and, one person likes junk food, the other person likes only, vegan organic food, or, there's all these things. There's like one or two things might not be a big deal, but you start adding to that list, and you're like, there are some things that are just relationship killers. And if you continue to go down that route, that's going to be something that's going to cause a major relationship, tearing apart later on, because you're going to get frustrated with each other. Like, hey, I'm always the one pushing for sex, or I'm always the one trying to get us eating healthier. I'm always the one, I want to go to bed, and he keeps me up, or she keeps me up. And all of those things start to really, really build up. And again, it's not that either of you are wrong. You're just different people.
Right. Yeah.
So be okay. And that's part of being comfortable with yourself, is that if you are comfortable with yourself, you're okay with saying, hey, this is what I need. I'm not getting it. You're an awesome, wonderful, amazing person, but we're going to have to end this relationship, because that intimacy can't grow if you don't have some of those basic things in the beginning, because then you feel comfortable to share. Like, okay, you have similar sexual appetites. Okay, well, hey, I want to try this tonight, or let's do this, whatever. And if that's not important to you, and if it's not important to the other person, well, then maybe that's a great match. Or, you both really like to watch NASCAR and eat junk food and, I don't know, do whatever else that you do. And that's awesome. And you don't have to have everything in common, because your partner is not completing you. They don't give you everything. You need to fill up your own cup. But there should still be the commonalities where you can meet together and still have that great relationship together, of stuff that you have, common values, common goals that you have.
Right. You need to find the things that you value in your romantic life.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is a 10. Somebody once told me, if you get 6 out of 10, you're very, very lucky. Nobody's 10 out of 10. I mean,
I don't want you to I don't want to think that means settling, though, because for you, they might be a 10 out of 10. They might be perfect for you. That doesn't mean they're perfect people, because we're not. We're weirdos, all of us. We're all weird people. We're all strange and have our little idiosyncrasies. So you got to find another weirdo that's attractive, that works together with you. That's it's like the funny way of saying, we're not going to be a 10 out of 10 because we're not perfect, because we're human. But we need to find someone who's that right fit for us, who works well with us in our little weird idiosyncrasies and imperfections.
yeah, it's the imperfections that you can live with.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's got to line up right. Um, my partner is a very, very wonderful man. He's super generous, and we're really at the same level about a lot of things. But in a perfect world, he would spend more time at the beach. In a perfect world, mm, I'm trying to think. But mostly it's kind of a perfect world. I had about 2 weeks before I met him, I was on a train with one of my friends from grad school, and she was like, "Say 10 things you want in a man." And she goes, "And go home and hide the list." And I was like, oh, "Okay." I didn't find the list till we were together for 3.5 years. It was every single thing on the list. And it was funny because we were like, I was so hungover on that train ride coming back from the grad school retreat in Saratoga, and my friend talks a mile a minute, and she was just like, "No, no, no, you need to do this." And it's actually on the back of the Amtrak e-ticket. And I was like, "Okay, all right." And I wrote stupid things like "must love boobs," um, but like kind, consistent. Um, it was just all 10 things, and they were 10 totally random things, and I didn't find the list. Like I didn't give it a second thought. But nobody's perfect. And what was not a pink flag for me might be a pink flag for someone else.
True.
Um, that's, that's the way it goes. I mean, both of my terrible ex-husbands are in long-term relationships with people who want to put up with that crap on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lid for every pot.
Yep. Yep. It's true. And that's actually something, and I know we're gonna finish up, but that's one of those things that's when you stay in a relationship that's not healthy for you, and you stay in it for all the wrong reasons, out of fear, out of you don't want to be alone, and you don't want to let the other person down. Some things, you're actually keeping yourself and the other person from finding the right person. So, like for example, you said like your exes, they're in long-term relationships. Well, those might have been the right people for them. Maybe they're people. Maybe they're doing the same things to these other people. It's really not your problem. But the thing is that
No, not at all.
exactly. Thank goodness, right? So now you get to go and live your life and experience it with someone that you choose that is a much better fit for you. And had you not left those exes, you wouldn't have given yourself that opportunity. So I think that is, the more you stay, the less you give your chance and opportunity to find the right person. And again, you find yourself first. And then after you do that, then you attract the right person. And I did something similar with my husband. Once I got the list set, and I had made a smaller list, and then once I started dating and looking at things, and the list started growing, and I started getting more in tune with what I was looking for. When I met my now husband, I was checking off the lists. I was checking. So it was I needed that list because that was I kind of gave it out to the universe and said, hey, this is what I need, and bam. I mean, it was like within 2 months, I got it. 3 months, something like it was a very
Yeah.
time. It just whoop attracted to me, and I was like, and it was funny because the last thing that was on the list was I always thought I needed to date someone with like brown hair. Like I had specifically 6'3", brown hair was what I liked. I liked green eyes, blue eyes. Someone who's fit, who would like to eat healthy, blah blah. And then I changed the list, and when I took off brown hair, I wrote brown hair or bald, which was I never thought that I would be interested in a bald man before. But for some reason, I changed the list and I wrote or bald, and I had like one or two other things that I added. Bam. That's where I met my husband. So it's funny how when you are specific and you know what you're looking for, how you can do that. But you got to get rid of the old garbage. And I'm not saying necessarily your exes are garbage, but you got to get rid of the old
But
stuff.
if you must.
For a lot of us it is. But you got to get rid of the old stuff before you can make room for the new stuff. So You know, that's so great. So thank you so much. And Carla said, thank you. I really needed to hear this. So I'm so happy, Carla, that you came on
Thank
and you
you.
said hi.
Thank you. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
make that list, Carla, because, you know, again, and when you're
Yeah,
dating,
make the list.
don't feel bad. Don't settle. Like, make the list of what, like, in the perfect world, what is it that you want, and make that list and start really checking it off and saying, you know, you're ordering your person that's going to be lucky enough to spend time with you. So that's kind of an important list to make. You know, again, we're not ordering pizza. We're not ordering an outfit that you can get rid of. You're looking at someone to share your life with. So that's kind of an important thing to really know what it is that you're looking for. Like, see if it's a nice fit. So, Barbara, thank you so much again. How are some ways that people could follow you, could get in touch with you? I know you have all these great things going on. So, what can they do if they wanted to get more information about you?
You can follow via community services on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can follow Barbara McLean Consulting on Facebook, and you can follow Pink Flags on Facebook, and I think Twitter. I think it might be called Butterfly Empire.
Okay.
But yeah, and please direct message me if you have any questions. I'm always open and available. And thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye, and thank you so much, Barbara, for coming on. And I know Barbara will be putting all of those links to all those different groups that she has in the comments. So if you're watching this recorded, please make sure you comment, and we'll get back to you. One or both of us will return any messages.
Oh, absolutely. Any relationship question, you can add it now. You can add it later. I'll be happy to answer.
And
thank you.
And especially anyone who, you know, a childhood sexual assault. I mean, here you have a great resource. Barbara has been there, done that with like the healing process and the work. So, and a social worker. So, you know, feel free to ask whatever questions, private message her, because some of you might not have come out with this yet. This might be a secret you've been holding on to for a long time. So, you know, feel free to reach out to Barbara. She would love to be able to help you out with any.
If it's okay, I can share my RAIN video on your page on the codependency.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, because that's, you know, that kind of help is invaluable, the kind of help that RAIN gives you.
Awesome. Awesome. And for everyone else, on next Wednesday, we're actually having someone from Montana, which is like, I love that state. I was there a few years ago and love Montana. It's gorgeous out there. She's going to be telling us about some of the self-healing and self-help practices that she's going to share with you that are really great. And for those of you who are watching, I'm going to just throw this in again. Those of you who haven't watched my 3-part webinar, definitely jump in and watch that. Those of you
that was great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for the anyone who's looking to reconnect with other women, I still have some spots available for that women's retreat at the end of August in Charleston, South Carolina. And I would love, love, love for some of you to come and hang out with us and have that adventure and community. Because, you know, like Barbara said, and like we've said before, having that group of people that you can connect with, you know, from the different angles is so important in growth. So I would love to have you be a part of that. And of course, anyone who's watching this who's not in part of the private groups, I do have Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt and codependency and healing support groups. So feel free to join those as well. But we will see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you again for everyone who tuned in and watched us tonight. Barbara, thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.